Hello YouTubers and fellow photographers, welcome to my new video. My name is Marcus from the M Photography, and today I want to talk about when I choose to use manual exposure control versus aperture priority modes. I had the idea to make this video since I did the video on auto ISO versus manual ISO, but I wanted to take some time to observe myself, to take some notes and find out the rules that I actually apply when I choose to use one mode over the other. When I go out shooting, I usually use my experience and the instincts that I developed with the Leica M-D over time. But in order to do a video, I actually had to formalize all of these steps that go through my head in order to explain it to you systematically. So let's dive into it. I want to start off with when I use aperture priority mode. I use this mode when I do simple shots, when I take a photo of something and then walk to the next scene, when consistency is not so important, when I do quick shots and there is absolutely no time for manual exposure controls, when auto is just good enough and I know that I can use post-processing to get everything I need out of the shot. For me, it is also good when there are unforeseen things happening and I just want to grab the camera quickly and take a shot. Let me show you two examples and explain to you with these two examples what I mean. In this first example, we see a photo of a cosmonaut in a hotel lobby. I took it while passing by, and it was just one of these shots like I just explained where I just wanted to take a quick photo and then move on. Measuring the light was not so hard in this scene, and I knew that auto would do an okay job for me, so I chose to use aperture priority in this case and then moved on. The second example is this quick draw example where I saw these birds at the river and I knew that there would be something going on soon, so I took the camera, and when I took the camera and aimed at the birds, already the first bird, as you see in the shot, was flying away, and I quickly just hit the shutter release button. There would have been no time for any manual exposure control or anything. I would have missed the shot. So here again, for me, consistency was not so important. I didn't want to do different frames of the same photo. It was just this one moment in time that I wanted to capture because I had the suspicion that something was going on. Let's now move on to manual exposure controls and when I choose to use this mode over aperture priority. So when I have time and I want full control over the frame and my composition and the light and consistencies of importance, I choose to use manual controls over the auto exposure mode. And this happens mainly for two reasons. The first would be if I want to take multiple shots of the same scene under the same light conditions, but with maybe a slightly different framing or a slightly different angle, or in portrait shots, for example, if I want to reposition the model, for example. And the second reason why I would choose this mode over aperture priority mode is if I have, again, the same scene, but I have moving objects in the scene, and the moving objects occupy a large space of the frame. Then the light meter of the camera would go up and down and would tell the auto mode to adjust the shutter speed accordingly. And therefore I will not have consistency over the brightness of each of the frames that I take. So I measure the light usually, I think of how I want the scene to look, and then I stay in this manual mode no matter what happens with the moving objects in the scene. So these are the two main reasons why I choose the manual exposure controls versus aperture priority. Let me now also show you two examples where I used manual exposure controls, and I will explain to you why I use them in those respective situations. In this first example of manual exposure control, I was in an industrial building in Zurich and I wanted to take a couple of shots in this garage. And the light was very consistent and I liked the scene and I wanted to take a couple of shots of this driveway where cars used to drive in the past. And I chose the manual exposure control after having enough time to measure the light correctly, to do a couple of shots, to try different compositions, to move a little bit back and forth. Nothing was really going on in the scene, so I could take my time. Therefore, manual exposure control was perfect for me, because then afterwards at the computer I could choose the right shot that I liked the most. Here in the second example, we now see what I was mentioning earlier, moving objects that occupy a large portion of the frame, where the auto exposure would go up and down with the shutter speeds and therefore wouldn't give me consistency. I again had time and I could stay there and wait for something to happen. I was hoping for someone to walk through this puddle of water, and the light conditions didn't change, so I could comfortably configure my manual exposure and wait there and see what happens until finally these two people walk through a puddle of water. Now you've seen two important occasions when I choose to use manual exposure control over aperture priority mode. Let me know what you think in the comments below, or if I have forgotten to mention anything in this video. But otherwise, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did so, please hit the like button below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, also please subscribe to this channel if you like to see more of this. Also, if you like, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I will leave links in the descriptions below as well. And as always, before I leave you, I will show you a couple of more shots that I took with the Leica M-D. I hope you enjoy them and see you next time.